everyone. Welcome back, Cop Squad. Are we still a Cop Squad? We're still a Cop Squad. How's everyone doing? We are back for the Harley Quinn podcast, season 5, episode 4. Keenan, Mike, my fellow host, how are you guys doing? Mike, share.
I am great. I'm still screaming after this episode.
I
know. Yeah, this episode was a shocker though, but it's actually, I think, a serious episode. Yes, more depth and then answers, revealed, but also more questions I need them to, I have to ask, to the show and everything, because it's like, yeah, now it's interesting. So
yeah, this was an episode that gave us a lot of backstory, but also pushed. We have a lot of answers now. I feel like episode 3, we're on some side quests, and now this is like we're back to like the main storyline, and it's a really interesting way that we got there. So I'm excited to dive into this episode. But first, we have a couple of news items to chat about. You can skip ahead if you'd like, but we're going to talk about the Blue Beetle animated series is eyed for a 2026 premiere. Woo! What are we thinking? How excited are we, y'all?
I'm right there. I really enjoyed that movie. There's a video of me crying about how much I enjoyed it. So give me more Blue Beetle, and I hope that Chola Dueña gets to return. And yeah, I love the whole cast. I want everyone back and voicing their characters.
Yeah, it was one of the only, like, there's last 3 projects of DC. There was The Flash, Blue Beetle, and there was Aquaman. And to me, Blue Beetle was my favorite out of the 3, because it had a heart. I had one of my friends, Jorge, we were watching together, and he's part of the Hispanic community and everything, and he's also a father, and so it's kind of like I'm seeing his reaction to it, and I'm having my reaction to it too, and I'm just like, all the circumstances surrounding it, and I enjoyed the fact that at least James had intentionality, like, hey, this is a good character, and we're saving this, regardless of DC, rebooting our universe and stuff like that. We can do more with them. But having a series, I would like to see, animations where DC thrives. So I'd like to, see Joel, like, get more popularity with something to get more recognized, no strike, no nothing or anything like that. And have something good come out of this, and possibly maybe like live action return in Titans, or something like that. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. That's what I see them leading into. It's kind of clear as day, but yeah, I'm happy for it. Let's see, animation for this now DC universe with Creature Commandos and stuff coming later on. They're knocking all cylinders, so I can't see why this won't do the same.
Yeah, I think this character works. There's a lot of characters I think work much better in animation, and I think Blue Beetle works the best in animation because of the beetle itself and the technology. The scarab itself, which is something called Khadijah. Yeah. And like the abilities. I think it'll be so cool to see his abilities in animation. I saw the movie finally. It took me a long time to see it. Sorry, I just honestly forgot about it. And
it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I really wanted to support the director because he's Puerto Rican and I am Puerto Rican, and the movie was fine. I genuinely was thinking it the whole time. I was like, this would have been better as a Miss Marvel style television show. Rather than
yes, that's what it was intended for. It was supposed to be for Max, and they're like, no, let's put this in a movie. And then they canned Batgirl, and did that, and then all of a sudden now it's like, okay, well, we're gonna make an animated series of this. But yeah, no, you're not wrong in terms of the feelings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just felt like it could have, like, I didn't have enough time with the family, especially didn't have enough time with the dad. So I think like there's definitely an opportunity. Hopefully we see more the dad in, like, spoiler alert, he dies in the movie, but like backstory of like sees him in still in the animated series, but like flashbacks and stuff. And I mean, obviously there was a cliffhanger of Ted Cord, being alive, and so I assume that they'll explore that in the show, which is exciting because I just love generation I love when the multiple people with the same mantle, especially
legacy.
When it's like when they work together, when it's like not just like this guy died and that's why I picked up mantle, which is kind of how it happened. But I like when it's like they're back and they're like they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, try to put the pieces together, and like Booster Gold is also again tied to that with that character too. And I'm like, if you also put Booster Gold in a positive light, if you have him attached with another character, so way that both of these characters can win, both off different versions of Blue Beetle, but in Tech Core, Booster Gold and everything like that. I love to see that. It was like one of the more, I guess you could say, iconic pairings of DC, not even though they haven't got any iterations, in live action or anything like that. But for comic fans, we know they're a unit, So
they are. Blue Beetle and Booster Gold are, and we had a brief tease in at the end of Legends of Tomorrow that got canceled when what's his name? Something Faison.
Donald Faison.
Donald Faison was casted as Booster Gold. So we would have had a booster in live action if but regardless, it's exciting to see this character still be alive in our next DC universe. So I'm excited for this will be something I actually will watch as it happens. I have still not watched Creature Commandos, and I will, but I haven't given I am not interested. I cannot be interested in anything, and B, none of those characters speak to me. Is something that I'm rushing to go see. So I will watch them in my own.
You'd be surprised.
I mean,
I know you.
Yeah,
I know you.
I know. I'm sure I'll love it, but I also am I don't need to. I don't feel like the need to rush to watch it right now.
Okay.
So but I'm not going to. I don't really care anymore. Or care right now, but I will, and I'll let you know when I do. Next bit of news. Unfortunately, the State of Superman, I believe Joe Schuster, yes, is suing WBD and DC to stop them from releasing Superman internationally. So that is what's happening. We'll see. We'll see what happens at the outcome of that. But yeah, unfortunately, this happens. There's always been struggles with the estate and the studio and the copyright owners, or the that's always been an issue. I don't know if it'll actually stop the movie from releasing internationally, but that's what's happening right now. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I wonder why they would want outside of a money grab. I wonder what would be the reason to be don't put this anywhere else. It's kind of wild, but
it says it comes down to specific copyright laws in those countries like Australia, Canada, Ireland, and the UK.
Interesting.
It says by operation of law, Schuster's foreign copyrights automatically reverted to his estate in 2017. So it means they think that the state believes that they have the rights. They own the rights to sell Superman story internationally, not DC, etc. So that's kind of what the tussle is at the moment. So yeah. Anyway,
I hope that all comes to a good, amicable, hey, let's, come on.
Yeah. It's unfortunate when this happens because I think all comic creators and artists, especially the ones who create, should be respected, and they should be well compensated for their characters being used. Unfortunately, that has not been the case for any of the a lot of the big studios. They have done, they've come back and given people their money and flowers after the fact, but that hasn't. It's not always the case, and we always see writers and artists that are like, wow, it's crazy to see him, my character is $1 billion character, but I haven't seen any of that money. And that is an unfortunate reality of creating under someone else's imprint,
that's above James, to be honest with you.
Yes, it's not a James
that's where I feel like, I mean, I think this will be resolved, obviously, but I also think this will be kind of opening the door for his image as a head of DC, of being somewhat kind of different from Marvel or other comic companies, to kind of having that, saying devotion to comic fans, but also to the creators, and to kind of have some type of royalty or residual component to that, and something like that, just the way that it kind of differentiates. I know he's a good business person, but that's also what Peter Safran is there for. As well. So he's have a very positive track record in Warner Brothers. So I can guarantee they'll have that settled and stuff, but a way that the creators also be satisfied as well moving forward.
I love that. Fingers crossed. Here's hoping.
Yeah, for sure. If BYs want to get into the episode, we
Let's
can
do
get started.
it.
So I personally love this episode. What did you guys think of it overall? Like, just initial thoughts.
I think it caught me off guard like immediately, and then I was like, "Wait, what's going on?" Oh, okay, we're getting a little bit of backstory, and I was completely on board. Just like the day-to-day like minutia of a Kaluuyan, that was really fun to see and get a little bit of his story. Every villain is the hero of their story, and so yeah, and we get to see a lot of planets. They were like, "Oh,
Yes.
what do you
There
see?
was
What do you
quick.
see? Where's
Yeah,
some
there was
names?"
Thanagar. I think Oa was also there as well.
And Zuranar,
Jackson,
Thanagar. You said Thanagar,
Yeah.
Tamaran.
Tamaran.
Mhm.
So
What else?
yeah, I now a part of me I wonder because they did all this, again, this is, I mean, yes, there's representation in the show and everything, but I don't know if they just planted a seed that, because we didn't see any of the trailer promotion, that they might bring in Supergirl at the end of this season. Because the city that they took, from Krypton before, it just kind of sent this, seed planted there. But at the same time, we haven't seen any promotion of anything like that. I'm like, listen, for Batman, you have the entire family, you have Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne, Robin, and all stuff. And I'm like, now you use Metropolis, but he's gone through all different iterations. Like we've seen the suits in the museum and everything, but I'm like, you don't see Connor, you don't see Kara, whatever. We don't even see John Henry Irons or anything like that. So, but I mean, depending on how long if they want to be in Metropolis and stuff, and this is like a multiple season thing, I don't know what the next season you go to Star City or something like that. I don't know, like or Central City, like
Yeah, just take us around on the DC cities. Why not?
Right, exactly. That's but I think just for adding another female character into it, it's like like I would expect them to do Supergirl before they do Connor for this show. But yeah, I know I thought this was good. I have to rewatch this episode because there's a lot of intellectual jokes that were made. That was like it was like happening really fast, but I know this is supposed to be a joke, and I didn't catch it till later. But yeah, but as I guess as a husband, eventually being a dad and all that stuff is kind of seeing the modern suburb, family of like type of like a Jetsons feel to it. But
Yes.
also like with a intellectual maniac of DC Comics, right? And him having a wife and a child, not a different version of himself, and like from the future, like Brainiac 5 or anything. But like, no, this is actually his children. Like, okay, this is interesting. Now who actually decimated the planet? I don't know. I mean, I already know you did Dark Side, but I'm like, hey, like, what, like, what happened to the civilization? I guess we'll learn later. But yeah, I thought that was good, kind of seeing his backstory and having the tone of this show of him for having his own episode, like graphics, all that. Like, oh, this is the Brainiac show. I like that because that's just showing intentionality.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, go
Just
ahead.
a random crazy thing. I was like, their wedding song is the whole music that makes my skin crawl. Did you catch that? So that there's the song that he was like, "Oh, this is our wedding song," that she was playing. It's whole music, and it took me out.
Oh, like
music, yeah.
That's so funny. I did not catch that. That's hilarious.
I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
this is."
That's what Mike said. He said there's a lot of intellectual jokes that make sense because it's Brainiac. You have to, and it makes sense.
Mhm.
I feel like it wouldn't be a good Brainiac episode if some of the jokes didn't go over our heads because he's smarter than us, right? Like he's supposed to be smarter than us. So I think it's clever to make certain jokes because like even the second time watching it, I was like, huh, okay, I didn't get that the first time because I was like, okay. So I actually I thought this episode was fun. It gives us a little bit more in-depth insight into Brainiac, and he's one of my favorite villains. Brainiac 5 is one of my all-time favorite superheroes. I love a legion of superheroes. Feral Docs 2, which we do see in this episode, is actually his own character in his own right. Brainiac 2 Yes, and then there's other Brainiacs, Brainiac 2, 3, and 4, and then there's 5, 6, 7. There's other ones, Indigo. There's
Did you catch the suits that change when the years pass?
Yes,
Yes.
I noticed that the second time. I was like, there's a lot of clever details that like you really need to watch this episode at least a couple of times because they actually layer in a lot of like Easter eggs and like different things. So let's like break it down. What do we think about the origin story? Him having a wife and kids, like that is different. We don't that's similar to what they did with House of Brainiac in the comics, like him wanting a family and a legacy. So he created Brainiac Queen, which is interesting. And I love that the show did this version of like him already having an established life. So what do we think, Mike?
Yeah, I felt like with it kind of gave taking notes from Marvel with the whole Vision storyline of him having, a family, like, and the dog Sparky, stuff like that, it was kind of giving that type of like, okay, let's put that buff for like this villain. I felt that for this show, again, there's a lot of creative liberties that are taken from here that, excuse me, my allergies messing up. Apologize.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, the show's so damn good. As a DC fan, it makes you want to cry. Like, finally, you got some good shit.
Agreed.
By the way, we can cuss on this podcast. Just letting you know, by rule from Vanessa Shark. But anyway, yeah, no, I felt like with this, you have to do some type of creative liberties to kind of adjust this show, knowing who your audience is. Like, yes, we are DC fans, but also this is catered to, non-comic fans. You're trying to give a way for them to invite them into DC universe. And then with that, you're going to take some creative liberties, but also be aware, like, hey, we have the freedom to do that. We've done this before. We made, like, yes, we have Damian Wayne. We have other characters that, like, yes, these are comic book characters, but hey, they're not the exact same versions that you remember, but it's not trying to say like we're doing things to piss you off. It's just like, no, this is the show, this is the tone specifically, and then this is what and what they did with this episode didn't seem outside of what I expect them to do with the show. It's just like, okay, that was interesting. But I've never seen Brainiac in this version before. But then it's also preparing you for like, okay, how are these people getting that twisted, even on an intellectual level that they're robots? Is like, okay, how did this person become who they became? And even to a point like that one quick scene when Harley was on the ship and they talk about the monkey, you're seeing Brainiac's, yeah, where's the monkey at, right? But like he's been dead for years, but he's seeing that instantly. And it's just like, okay, wait, even a robot can have, visions of stuff of, having like hysteria of stuff like that of reality. That's interesting. So it's like, yeah, it's humanizing him in a way, and so it make it more relatable. So a way that when his mission, that the stuff that he's doing makes sense, make clear. But I just felt like to this creatively, it just makes sense for them to do what they did.
What did you think of the origin story, Keenan?
I loved it. And what I really enjoyed is that I've said this before, like I feel like every character that we see on the show is absolutely zany because we're seeing it through Harley's eyes. Like this is Batman as Harley sees Batman. This is Clayface as Harley sees Clayface. But this is completely separate from her. We're seeing his backstory as him. And it was almost giving like intellectual sitcom, family sitcom, until he just goes completely off the rails.
Yeah.
And it was,
yes.
I wrote down the line when he was like, basically, this is my house. You don't make enough money. This is my house. I was like, okay, am I watching Family Matters right now? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Yes, that was the whole family scene where they were like, she was like, oh, they were like making jokes, cracking jokes about the dad, and like they were, the kid having like such a. He's like, I hate
a level one intellect.
Yeah, like, yeah, calling him a level one is like they were like they had such a contentious relationship, and the wife being like no vibrations, and they're like sex scene, and like it was just like just so.
Yeah, I'll take care of it myself.
Yeah, and like
I screamed.
Very clever way to make Brainiacify like normal everyday human things is so funny. And then like his conversation with Mr. Starr, and she was like, I asked you to take out the trash, I will do it myself. It was so funny. Like she just like dragged a little trash into the kitchen. It's so
Yes.
that
When I heard the little like
very clever.
so many
It was
little
all
things.
very
It was
clever. I
clever.
love, yes, it's like that level of detail. I'm very, very impressed with that. Like this probably is one of the most layered and detailed episode that we've seen so far. Absolutely
Yes.
amazing. But
Yes.
we run into issues. His planet is destroyed. We don't really know why. I feel like I don't know how, like, did we get it? Did you guys catch them having any indication of like the planet getting destroyed? Like what happened? Did you catch anything, Keenan?
No, the only thing I thought so like his son was asking about when their sun goes out, like what's going to happen when their sun goes out. And he's like, "Oh, well, long be in our rest cycles or whatever." So I'm like, did
Yeah.
something happen with the sun maybe? Like I'm interested to know what happened because it's not like the
Yeah.
world blew up, like
No.
somebody came down and like blew a bunch of
It
stuff
looks like
up.
someone, yeah, it looks like someone bombed the shit out of the planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Michael, on what could have happened to
I'm
Kolu?
intrigued.
I don't know. Cause I said dark side, but like I'm like who? Like I just don't know.
Is
Excuse
there,
me.
because I'm not familiar with like the comics. Was there anything about Kolu being destroyed in the comics?
I think so, but not like in the way of him having a family or something. Like
No.
it was again. It was also offshoot offshoot like stories where Brainiac was created by like from Krypton. It was like some type of offshoot thing of like program or whatever. Like some type of like Ultron situation. But like it's
Kolu is the inhabitants aren't, they're not families, they're like individual units. And so like like Brainiac in the comics does have a son, but it's just a clone of himself. Like
right.
that's how they create
Mm.
themselves, or they create more of them. They're like they clone their intelligence and they create more. So there is no family concept. And so if I can't remember if Kolu's been destroyed, most of the Brainiac reading I do is Brainiac 5. And by the time we meet Brainiac in most of the comics, he's already tussling with Superman, so we don't really they don't focus on his planet too much, but for the most part I think it's not there. But I don't know I cannot remember what caused the destruction, so I'm curious about what happened. But yeah, so we get all of that like detail. We finally get him figuring out that his mission is to perfect the universe, and like he goes off on this, which just seems like an extreme overreaction to something happening outside of his control. But that's a Brainiac thing. And so I think we go to he ends it was so insulting. He finds Earth and he's like, "These people are fucking stupid. What the fuck? Seen a dumber population in my life. These dumb marble-headed bitches. These motherfucking people they can't add 1 + 1 and it equals 7. These dumb motherfuckers. This is the worst. This is the best challenge of my life." He really read us. He said we're the dumbest population in the universe, and he's seen everything. And I can only imagine he arrived the day of the inauguration.
Get out of my head, okay?
I mean, there's also other points in
or
history,
maybe he
but
got here on November 6th.
I'm just saying. I wonder if he just arrived and he was like, "What is happening?" And
what is going on?
What? So he grabs it. He's working on. So now we have a little bit more of context of what's going on in Metropolis in the first episode. Why the bots are there? What's happening? And we find out. Surprise! Lena is absolutely in on it, which we knew.
Yes, called it.
She's in on it. She's like, "You can do whatever you want as long as I get to have a playground, play toys to have." Like she basically thinks of Metropolis and inhabitants as her toys, and wants Harley and Poison Ivy around because they're entertaining, and that's it. She's just she's a megalomaniac. That's a crazy reason.
She's a good old Luther.
Where is the loyalty?
It's like what Lex Luthor did in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Like he still, like basically Earth was basically destroyed under his rule, but Lex Luthor was still alive, having his own building, kind of running just the management of stuff on Earth, But I'm like, but yet you're still his minion. But yeah, he's alive and stuff. But like, and then he eventually be part of the resistance and stuff. But this is what a Luthor would have done in this situation. Either a join hybrid, in terms of as one, single entity and stuff for intellect and whatever. It's just justly limited in me. Yeah, or just actually try to find any way for their benefit. But I'm trying to understand more of like, why does she specifically got, I think to my knowledge, she said she wanted both of them, even though Brainiac was focusing on Harley. But like for her, she's like, no, I want both of you. I want both of you. But like, what is it? Is it about that she don't have any friends or whatever? Like, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, like think about it. Like Luthor against Superman was like, hey, there's a physical, powerful being, and yet here we are, humans and stuff. And then I'm like, I hate your mere existence. The fact that you can do more with this power, and stuff, and I don't have it. And it's like there's a twisted thing with there. Well, her, it could be something different. I don't know, like for women, acceptance, like but to a far extreme.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
What is Lena? What is her inferior? Like, what is she feeling inferior about? Because that's
right,
how also
exactly.
villain deals with is some sort of inferiority that they're making up for, that some sort of insecurity that they're overcompensating for. And I feel like Lena is doing that hard. And I don't know, we don't know what yet. Yeah. What do you think, Keenan?
I'm thinking that Lena wants that technology. So she's biding her time to figure out how she can play him. And I think she sees Harley and Ivy as her way to get over on Brainiac.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what my theory was in the beginning. I think in my first episode was like, what if Lena wants to use the girls to fuck with Brainiac somehow? We'll see. I think that that's plausible. We'll see. Because I think she's obviously, I don't think she's just satisfied with doing someone's bidding. She's a Luthor after all. So,
right.
The coolest thing about the episode, there's a lot of cool stuff in this episode, but the cool thing was the rewinding of the episode, and you could see the little thing. I love interesting. So yeah, it also reminds me of the fact that Lois said in episode 2, or no, it was episode 3, whatever episode she was talking to Perry. She said people are having 3. It was people are having. We had to investigate why people are having nightmares of skulls, and then we see at the end Harley is drawing skulls in her food. I'm wondering how many people in Metropolis this happened to.
Yeah, that's interesting. Lois Lane is Lois Lane, She
is an investigator, and I love it. The show won't let her do it, but she's still an investigative journalist. Like they keep putting roadblocks in her way. And there is an upcoming episode that is coming up that is very excited for everyone to see because it's so good. But because Lois is great, and yeah, I am curious about this Brainiac thing. I'm curious about when the girls will remember, because I feel like they're gonna be pissed.
Well, not only that, I think also it will bring another part, because one thing I enjoy about this show is that the fact they highlight relationships or themes and relationships in terms of not only just the stages, but like the things they go through, and the flaws of each other, right? So as much as you have Ivy basically dealing with her trauma, her past, and actually allowing her partner to help go through that healing process, like literally. But in case for Harley, this for our questioning something in terms of having a sense of I don't want to say identifying a problem, but trusting me. Like I can't explain what's going on. All I need you to do is just trust me. I can't give you any type of lot. And I think actually it will make it even better because you have a logical type intellectual villain, and then having these two couples going together how to solve this thing, and some responses in relationships don't require you to be intellectual answers or something in terms of like, oh well, I need to explain it. Can you just trust me? Can you just believe I can't explain what's going on or how I'm feeling, or hey, what I believe, I just need you to know you trust me as your partner. And it'll be some things like that blind faith of like, yep, okay, I trust you. And then how that challenged your your partner? Do you actually believe them, and what that says about yourself? So, and I think it kind of just a metaphor of having an intellectual villain this season, while they're in the stage of like, oh, we don't have no spark, we don't have, can we go out and adventure and do other things and stuff? See, they're cooking, y'all. You just need to pay attention. So
yeah.
That is a great point. That's a great point. Like we're seeing a lot of family type situations here. We're seeing Ivy and Harley kind of getting into the auntie motherhood situation with the insane sharks. We see Brainiac with his family. We see King Shark and his family, Bane and his family. There's a lot of family, and then like Clock King and Riddler, like they're a little family. Like that is a great point. There's a lot of family models that the girls are seeing, which I think is interesting. That I want to see how that kind of plays into their storyline going forward. So yeah. Any last thoughts? Oh wait, go ahead, Keenan.
Oh, that's making me wonder if that's gonna be, if we're gonna see a little bit of therapist Harley like psychoanalyzing Brainiac as he is seeing his wife in Harley, and at some point in time she's gonna catch that and use it.
Good point.
I do love therapy Harley.
I know we love therapy Harleen, Dr. Quinzel. So yeah, any last thoughts on the episode, guys? Anything you want to see going forward, or what do you want to see in the next episode? What are you excited? What are you hoping for?
So
Lois.
Yes, Lois. By the way, speaking, going back onto Lois, Mitzi Tullett, she made a very powerful speech at the Saturn Awards, I think last night, about bringing more production and work into the LA economy, in terms of not counting filming outside of LA, and actually kind of bringing more jobs to people here as they're trying to rebuild the infrastructure and everything. It's kind of real, like she literally was one of the perfect castings. She's Lois Lane in real life. And I hope that when Superman come out in July, that we have that Lois Lane cinematically back, in her full glory, and making a strong impact in the DC universe as she should be. I feel like with this, I want to see more sides. Okay, now on the we got the Brainiac side of this. We'll see the Lena Luthor side of this. All the fact that she went with, on a date with Bruce Wayne to the gala. I think that was her date, I believe. Like what's her, seeds in terms of what's her actual plan going on, but more importantly, how she's thinking aside from the facade that she's giving of like, oh yeah, I just want you here. I want to keep you here forever. Like, right. I heard that before, right? It's like, so yeah, it was kind of just explain that. But then how really the biggest thing of how Harley and Ivy are gonna get through this, together, and they're gonna lean on each other in this and stuff, and whether if Superman or Clark, has a play in this or whatever, I don't know how, but it'd just be interesting to see that. It'd be kind of interesting to see how they played out and incorporating him, and I hope, I know we get Red X and stuff like that. I don't know where that comes in and all that. But I'm looking forward to it. Again, I trust where the show's going, but this episode definitely kind of prepares for this next half of the season in a good way. So
yeah. What about you, Keenan?
Oh, outside of more Lois, I definitely want to see Lena's what is driving her. Give me a little Lena episode, very similar to this. Maybe not a full episode, but you can intercut it with what's going on, in present day. But I want to know what Lena is up to. And maybe Lois will figure it out.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. I love the amount of Lena that we get in this episode. I love her coming in like, no, you can't do that. That's dumb. Like, I think I love her energy. I love she's bossing around Brainiac. Like that is very that is a very Luthor thing to do.
Right.
It is a very Luthor thing to do. Very, very true to their core. So I love that. Like, I think they're getting everything right so far. About not everything right, but I feel like for Harley Quinn, this has been a really strong season so far. So I'm excited to see where we go going forward. I want to see more Lois, more Lois, more Lois, more Lois. I don't care about anything else. I just want to see more Lois. But yeah. All right, y'all.
Lois.
I know. We love her. We're big Lois Lane stands over here. So yeah, you can visit multiverseofcolor.com for all the latest news about DC Studios, TV shows, movies, comics, projects. We are covering as much as we can. You can follow us on Twitter, whatever it's called now, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky,
No.
Threads, YouTube. We're on everything. And this will be up on YouTube. We have interviews up on YouTube. So go check those out. You can subscribe to our, podcast. We can give us 5 stars on Apple, whatever the Apple Store. Yeah, the App Store podcast. that podcast app, because it obviously gives us, makes us feel good, and also it bumps us up, and more people can listen to us, and then that'd be cool. Yeah, so email us at dcstudiopodcast@gmail.com for longer listener feedback. And yeah, where can our listeners find you guys? Keenan?
You can find me at Geeks on Camera on Blue Sky and Instagram. And the Rewind podcast. We are recording a bunch of stuff, and it's going out, and you need to listen to them because they're funny.
Yes. What about you, Jedi Mike?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Jedi Mike 7, brought to you by Solo Media. I got a bunch of coverage coming out this week. Just dropped my series review of Invincible Season 3. That'll be coming up here. And also got Reacher interviews, articles and stuff right now. Cap America coming out next week. So I'll be writing for that as well on Multiverse of Color. So yeah, you can find me anywhere, Instagram, socials at Jedi Mike 7.
Nice. You can find me at Vanessa Shark on Blue Sky, on Threads, I guess, Instagram. What else? That's it, right? Because I'm not doing anything else. You can check up all my updates on my website, vanessashark.com, where I'm still updating, and I love that I'm updating. I'm so good at it. I have interviews, book reviews coming. I'm focusing more on book stuff. I prefer to do that versus film and TV. I'm doing TV stuff now, but that's mostly because I love DC Comics and I'm biased, but I prefer to talk to writers and book people. So that's where you'll find me. That's the great thing about Multiverse of Color. Everyone covers everything. You will find coverage on all things everywhere at once. All right, y'all. Until next time. Join us for season episode 5. Bye.